на
Всем
нем удобнее
привет.
рассказывать.
Меня зовут Евгений Гнедин, Positive Technologies. Сегодня рад приветствовать вас.
And today I would like to welcome you here at PhD. We'll speak about methodology, we'll speak about community, we'll speak about resultative cybersecurity. So at our forum, at our festival, we've heard quite a lot of terms as the resultative cybersec. We heard that at business tracks, we discussed regulators, but we did not discuss that much from the community side. So we just need to address this point, how we'd implement this cybersec. So basically, the main question we would like to raise here and answer whether we'd be able to get some resultative cybersecurity through the community. Will the community be able to create such a methodology? So let me introduce our speakers. I will be the moderator. Anastasia Grishina is going to help me out from Positive Technologies. And Andrei Yankin is with us from Infosystem Jet. Hi there. Denis Gorchikov, Одноклассники, schoolmates. Sergey Gordeychik from Cyber OK. Roman Chipligin, Rostelecom Solar. Hello there. So let's just start, and the topic for today's discussion is made up of three main terms: community, methodology, and the resultative cybersec. So the first question is, what's the resultative cybersec? What's the result that we would like to reach if we speak about cybersecurity? The first question goes to Roman Chipligin, because he is actually one of the founders of the resultative cybersecurity when he was in Positive Technologies. So, Roman, what do you think about it? Well, thank you. Thank you first for this introduction. Thank you for this background story. But the actual time I spent in Positive Technology when this concept was set up, with time, it helped me understand that the target is the result. It's the hardcore, so that the hackers will not penetrate. The SOC would withstand the monitoring. But then I understood that the result is very important in other aspects of cybersecurity, because when you speak about processes, there is place for results. When we have the unclear results, when we meet the metrics that lead us to the timely detection, when we increase the economicity of the process, it gets better. So the key whole point here is that in the cybersec, we would like to make sure that the target should be a targetful result. So each expert applies this to the expertise and sets up its image beautifully. Well, excellent option. Sergey, what would you say? Well, any activities should be measured. So I think we should not necessarily measure it as a high goal. Well, high goal is strategy. But in actual fact, the question is that the measurability of the metrics of cybersecurity has always been there. Here's the example. We tackle the attack surface management. We monitor the external perimeter. And it seems like it's not so interesting as compared to those great inevitable events, but it seems like that the organization doesn't know the perimeter. They do patch management very badly, and they still have some critical system and vulnerable systems at the perimeter. Why? Well, because there is always a process, but it's not measured. There is no clear metrics about what the good perimeter is, what's horrible vulnerability all about, etc. So if you initiate some activities in cybersecurity, immediately you get ITM, ITSM. You need to understand what your target would be and how will you measure your progress there. So I'm mentioned those standards a number of times that I like, the methods, they opened some methods because they immediately set the bar for you. They would not just promptly say, do it well. But they say, well, there is a level 1 of maturity, there is level 2 of maturity, a level 3. If you do it like this, you'll be jumping up, get motivated, and you may give yourself an award. So security should be measured and measurable at all of the levels, at operational, strategic, for SOC, etc. Well, excellent. So if we wrap it up, if we know which level we will reach, we will be much more motivated. Denise, what do you think about it? I would say that we need to speak a little bit differently about the result, because the result is the result achieved of certain expectations when you were hired and what you get paid for. So if a person says that my task is to provide cybersecurity, he's not the cybersecurity director, he's just the head of the department, no more. So the result which is expected from you has nothing to do with cybersecurity whatsoever. Because it so happened that with the perception of those people who define the task for you, who define the cores for the company, actually relates to cybersecurity, because it's more or less close. So they say, at one of the previous jobs of mine, we had two very good KPIs. One of them being the whole net goes down and all of the machines get encrypted before the financial inspectors arrive, financial police arrive. Or the second thing, so that the Western owners of the business would not know anything about some shadow part of the Russian business that is concealed from them by Russian managers. So those were the major criteria. However, they do not, of course, relate to cybersecurity. But as far as the vulnerabilities go, here's the person who created the company, he's a shareholder, he pays you money, and he is not interested about this at all. So I apologize, that result is not described with standard methodology. It's also a result. It's also a very clear expectation, but the variety of all possible results that may interest the business owners can be a little bit more expanded than it seems. So obviously what I can see here, the work which is done here is just to set up a glossary, a kind of a glossary, so that everyone understands the language they speak. So it does not cancel, however, this need. So in Russia, we still have a bunch of companies which require something beyond the standard metrics and expectations, what we call cybersecurity. So if I understand you right, there are some certain KPIs that we need to fulfill so that we need to promote these ideas. Exactly. Let's measure the TTP, the TTD, and some people say, of course not. The major metric is the number of the incidents which was determined outside of SOC. It does not interest the people who pay you salary, actually. That's what I meant to say. Oh, great, we have three takes on the cybersecurity. They're all different. the resultative, non-resultative, CISO. Well, me, I actually do agree with all of the colleagues of mine, although there are different takes. Alexander is from the consulting part, so I can relate. But however, if we speak about the resultative cybersec as a field of knowledge, a practical knowledge, so I think it's the cybersec that we keep forgetting about. So there is a slogan just to help your company fight and combat cybersecurity, not just to be a whipping boy and look nice and neat. So if we do the metrics and it leads to there, and it's the magic of Excel, and we input this and we cover the needs, then there's something about resultative cybersecurity. So most of the part of our cybersecurity is not about results, it's about the process, and we then forget about it and we just do compliance along the way. So I think there is a variety of things. Unfortunately, that's the least part of what we do can be called the resultative cybersec. But today I hope we'll think about how to increase this number, increase this share. I think we'll find the answer by the end of this session. So we just took a look at it from 4 different angles so far. So if we understand what's this resultative cybersecurity as we know it, do I have to ask the next question, do we have a methodology? Do we have a methodology just to implement this, to realize it? Or we still lack this methodology? For example, if we take a look at some foreign methods, they have AWASP, application security. They have very, very convincing results, very convincing story. Everybody would like to use it, but we don't have it in Russia. Maybe we have some Russian experts who would like to participate, but they never claim that they have their solution that is as good as that one or even better. Maybe you should give us a few examples saying, of course not, we have such examples. Stack CK362. Let me quote from my experience. As far as our sites, just like the foreign ones, no, we don't have them. That's the most likely question, answer to the question. So that's the target that we'll have to take into account. But even if we say that we don't have anything, that would also be untrue. I mean, we know from our experience that in the beginning of the year, the new GOST standards in the financial sector did appear. And previously, there were new GOSTs for cybersecurity, GOST standards, I mean, not ghosts in English. But in the security community, we have the enthusiasts who put that in Excel spreadsheets, etc. So when we recall such things, we should say that we have certain experience and there's certain work done in our community. We just need to make them more systematic. So I just joined some proper chat and they would give me appropriate answers. So we just need to get it more systematic, get it in system to make it more scalable. Yes, of course. And definitely, I just showed some methods, the Excel spreadsheets, which were modified. And I took notice that we found some typos, we found some errors, but we seldom go back and make adjustments there, make corrections, make improvements, in other words. So even if we speak about open stories, just simple feedback would not be enough. We need to have the result. We need to have the results. Maybe there are some other examples here that you may be aware. Sergey may be joking partially, but maybe they not be joking. So they say, we would like to have standards because it will improve our So they would say, of course, participate. If you would like to participate, if you have brains, you do it on your own. Then you just go and show what you can do, what your capabilities are. We'll take a look at you. And we'll have a better representation of what we see. Stack is not a universal site, but it's not a closed organization which you cannot actually penetrate. And I guess there are lots of companies that do appear, and they say, okay, it's not just for all standards, it's just for some narrow standards, but it's then possible to say that these people are a little bit more mature. There's a joke, people claim that if you are ugly, if you have no brains, if you have mush in your head, then you're an admin of a Telegram messenger channel. The same thing applies here. If you've decided to collect top 10 of useful advice that you can apply, then you go and write the AWASP standard. Well, the last AWASP standard is really a complete garbage, and I could not really believe how raw it looked. It's a shame. Sergey was talking about SAM. SAM is the normal thing, but SIM is the results of the social survey. When they ask people, what are you doing, what are you doing here? And they say 70 companies are doing that way. So if you're going to do it this way, you will do also well. So the big four of the consulting companies can get such a result, of course. But Dennis, hold on. I remember the BSIM. The BSIM appeared a long time ago. As far as I remember, when it appeared, there was no methodology, but there was another one, and it covered, and it won the battle. SAM is much more interesting, but when we created that, and we don't have the basis, and we will be speaking about the foundation, the collection of the best practices is best. I think we should not be considering this as a standard. Some people should not be treating this once a week. But, you know, seriously, with the ISO 27001, you cannot create security. You can only just evaluate this. You can only evaluate this. That nothing useful can be done with the use of this standard. Not all of the standards are too good. By the way, I would like to defend this open access. Gartner had this interesting feature at the previous conference when Gartner was still international, and they claimed we had the Fabergé eggs on the table, and they said, are you ready just to make your security policy public so that anyone can add a comment, make adjustments? So would you be able to publish it on a website? I think it's highly unlikely that you would put this security policy on your corporate hub, on your corporate site, in the document management system. I think no one has ever dared do that. But, you know, go and take a look at the directors of the cybersecurity, what they say. And they say, do you have cybersecurity policy? Do you have patch management? Can I take a copy? And there's a young fella coming up and say, what about personal data processing? Can I have a copy? And they send some garbage to him, which does not relate to his organization. And he says, thank you. I'm going to change that now. I would like to avoid this shame. I think it's not too shameful, but ISO has been criticized. I'm not going to even argue with you, but that's your point. But coming back to your question regarding the site, you mentioned the admin of the Telegram channel, but there are lots of such Telegram channels. And VStack is overregulated. So you've been filing that for a year and it would not reach you. I think what we lack is something in between. There is an entry threshold and the community would not let you out of the bag, but I think it's still a little bit more open when normal experts can talk to one another rather than regulated by a very strict and serious regulator. So I think this is the gap that we need to bridge, and it should create some nice content in an appropriate amount of time. I would like to add a few things. There was a very good comment about the lack of the feedback. In actual fact, we all do that. So we keep on having some documents and methods. We have brushed up something so that it meets our case, but it does not get into a proper system. I'd worked quite a lot with Web Application Consortium, and when I worked in this system, it's quite transparent that this live open source model that still does exist, a few leaders who do care. But as far as peer-to-peer goes, it doesn't really work. So I took that something good. I took this patch management thing, and I fine-tuned that even if I shared that, it's going to die somewhere and will disappear somewhere in the Telegram channel. It all works. It all works until you have someone who controls this, directs this, and not just say, write down something, but makes this feedback more systematic, brings it up to standard, and publishes this all. So, in principle, I guess this is something which is lying somewhere in between, like you said. But on the other hand, I second this VStack. People know that VStack has written a bad document, but as a member of this industry for the last 25 years, I feel ashamed that these VStack documents have been written by us. We write them. But how this happens? If there's a working group with a task, experts would come up to visit this group a couple of times. We've all been there. Then a certain vague story starts, and instead of experts, some pre-sales start joining in, and some GR director with the list containing some features that they need to add there, and actually it gets into a complete mess. Of course, VStack somehow moderates this, but we do deserve such documents. We have written them, so I think we just need to try and do it better. A big document, and then the Ministry of Justice joins in on the top, and it says that you have written this more or less well, but it does not align with the terms and laws, and let's just bring it to a norm. And people who have received this, they see the pages and they ask a question, what have you been smoking? No one has ever been smoking anything, but the document has been just edited for the next time. I think this next case is relevant to this open standard story. I think you should not be afraid of sharing the methods and methodology. That's a very important point. We speak about the result. And the method, in terms of cybersec, whatever it's good or bad, it's just a tool. So the person who creates methodology will provide the result. But for cybersec, it's the result. And my experience tells me that there's been quite a lot of methodology, especially foreign methodology. The talented individuals with different background create that. And at a certain point, I felt that the methodology itself, there's no reason to hide that methodology. You just need to implement this, and those who see this as an approach, really realize that everything's great, and they call experts. There are not too many of them, and as a consultant, they will go back to the consultants. So that's from my personal experience, and I guess it's applicable here. We write, we share, and implementation is a different thing. Yesterday, we actually met Anton Kutepov and Sergei Soldatov. We spoke about expert openness, and Sergei voiced the things which really relate to what you've been saying. There are different methods that they apply. Also, the method of preventing attacks. How it really works. You join them as a vendor, you pay a certain amount of money. As a question, why this money is paid? Because those people who make it a whole bunch do it not on the principle that I'll do it on Saturday night, but they do it as a job. But as a vendor, you can influence the method of this analysis. So you can influence this by raising the bar in order to filter out weaker competitors. But you can also see that what the competitors do for you. So, in terms of this contradiction, this standoff, we visualize this, but if you do not reach the bar, which is too high for you, you just need to try and do it better. We just need to go and publish this, because this is what the top bar is all about. Okay, is the market really ready for that? So we have one basic thing in the theory, because information and knowledge are not the competitive advantage. Only people who can get knowledge can create some new knowledge out of that knowledge. But there is a different second story. Andrei Bershatsky and I spoke about it some time ago. There should be understanding for some Russian vendors that competition is a good thing. So when you do not try to box on the ring with the fists pointed at each other's faces, competing each other, but thinking about competition as the way to develop. Seems like some vendors are not ready to accept healthy competition in the market, and they live here like spiders in a jar, and they're not ready to share their competences. If they were a little bit more open, they would grow their products much faster. We are an open source vendor. And between those big spiders in the jar, we are trying just to maneuver and outmaneuver each other. And it's pretty hard to do. Over the last year, I've collected so many bruises. There's the framework by Casper. You know where everything breaks down? At the sales level. It breaks down at the sales level. You join the experts, and they know each other really well, and you know them really well. One of them worked here, another one worked there. They all drink beers together, and they have no secrets from one another. They work. So you join Evgeny, and you join Dennis, and they would say, let's just do it. And they say, great, let's do it. But then there's either a product, either a sale, and they would claim that there's competitive advantage. And they claim But this competitive edge is no rocket science. You can share it quite successfully in order not to step on the same rake. So it will accelerate the companies and it will give them much more room for development. But it's the money that divides people. Of course, there is a customer, there's a project, and a lot of money. But here, it's not the real money. It's just a risk of losing some amount in a couple of years. What exactly are you going to lose? So you just need to fight the sales. It's just like, spitting against the wind. I think we just need to make sure that these collaborations do not contradict this. So I guess we just need to explain these whole points to everyone. So we talk to each other and that's it. So that's the hardest thing, I guess, here. Because I understand them all, I understand them. Somehow they don't know what it's going to lead to. So I guess it's a very important point to show everyone, also inside the company, not just the market, but also inside the company, that initiative really does work. And it's useful to everyone, because otherwise they will just stand in the defending position and that's it. I like the way we moved to the topic of sales and money, because if we really would like these things to work, the vendors and those who are ready to go and make a robbery, and those who are ready to contribute are there. So if we do it well, why not put it in the recommendations and then turn it into a certain standard? We all just need to make sure that these stumbling blocks are made more obvious. We've all just passed these stumbling blocks. For example, we report about the success story, but in actual fact, we've all had attempts over the last year. We've all had attempts. And we've passed a lot of stumbling blocks with bruises, and we voiced them. So if we only had a site to exchange these stumbling blocks experience, so let's go back to this site issue. We have discussed the methods, and discussion that we have tonight is not perfect, but we have a demo. We would like to show you a demo example of a site that we would really like to create. Nastya is going to show it to us. You can prepare it. I've already prepared it, so I'm giving the floor to Nastya with the demo. She's going to explain it to us. I'm going to say a couple of words about how it was all created and how we ended up with this idea. Nastya, over to you. Like it was said, there is an issue that big-scale cybersec companies like Positive Technologies come up with their own methods and use them in projects. In the Positive Technologies, we had a request for cybersecurity, a resultative cybersecurity, and they wanted to make it more formalized, make it more formal. So the Positive Technologist experts understand what they do and how in order to scale it up and pass it to someone else without any formalized methodology. It doesn't really work. So we have this idea of what are we supposed to do so that these methods that we write do not die in our company, but be accepted with the community, and we can enrich them and scale them up. We have quite a lot of experts in Positive Technologies, but they are not all-rounders. It may all change, because in the banks it works, but at some factories they don't work. So we decided to make this presentation for you. I think we should clear the stage so that you can see the slides better. We've decided to create such methodology. So that's what Nastya is going to show us. Anesthesia, over to you. Hello, everyone. I will say a few words about our site, open methodology of cybersecurity, which is result of cybersecurity, and about our plans to develop it. And I will be sharing some major features with you, and then we will discuss whether it has any future at all and whether it's going to be interesting to the community. Thank you, Zhenya, for sharing the main idea with me. Let me explain what we are planning on doing and what we already have on the site. Basically, what we are showing you is our testing environment. We will launch it in production next week, and we will write about it, we'll post about it in our Telegram channel. Later, I will just share this QR code of the Telegram channel for you to subscribe. Now, a few words about the content. First of all, we should mention the section which is related to the methodology. The methodology is supposed to be built upon 10 domains of resultative cybersecurity. Those domains are quite sizable, and we have almost everything there that you can imagine having in the world of cybersecurity. So each of you may find something interesting, like the hardening of the IT infrastructure and things that are related to the monitoring of the incidents. And there are some proper things that the resultative cybersecurity so basically, overall, the structure of those 10 domains is not about making sure that each expert starts doing something, like, for example, from domain 1 and ending with the last domain. The whole point of this methodology and the more structured positioning by domains is that each and everyone can find something interesting and useful at a current point in time to develop the cybersecurity in their company. So each and everyone can start from domain 1 or may have a more targeted approach and select methods inside the appropriate blocks. So I would just to show you a quick demonstration on what it looks like as an example. Protection block. Here are the main points that are related to the evaluation of the protection. Some information regarding the work we use evaluating the protection level and how these evaluations of protection should be conducted, etc. Now I would like to say a few words about those blocks that we are planning on adding in the upcoming releases. The first one is about the norms and methodology. We would like to make a separate branch where experts can upload the articles related to the upcoming initiatives from the regulators, the documents, the things like that, and how it relates to the resultative cybersecurity and how it affects the industry on the whole. And the third block that we would like to add there, it relates to the more complicated topics, some best practices and golden standards, how we use the resultative cybersecurity to attract some very complex issues, like, for example, how to make protection and how to establish relations with an IT provider if you outsource your IT infrastructure. I've given this as an example of what we're going to do there. A few words about functionality which will be available for the community. In the first release, there will be just a methodology. Then we are planning on doing the personal page, the personal account, so that they will be able to track down the interaction with us. So, for example, they see something on the site and they offer something alternative, how to reach the same result in a more appropriate way, or come up with something else. So there is a hardening stage. It may be absolutely endless. You can come up with standalone systems and complex systems. There will be a lot of content that can be contributed to our platform. Why do we need this account, this personal account? Let me run a demo. On our main page, we've even prepared a small video which explains that this account is required for those who would like to use these methods. For example, if you CISO, if you would like to follow the resultative cybersecurity rules, you can identify the bad events, the unacceptable events. So how many steps should be taken by a company to make this event unacceptable? What methods have been already applied? What steps have been taken towards that direction? And such like. So you can use this for presentations, for making some summary. So it's a very convenient thing. I think I've explained it all in terms of the functionality that we are planning on embark upon. So if you have questions, you may ask these questions to me. Could you please tell us, you've just skipped that. Have you already uploaded that? Yes, on the test bench, there is a lot of content that we have already prepared. We've prepared approximately 60 articles, most of them from our representatives from Positive Technologies. We have combined all of our experience. So we have uploaded the content that we already have. Thank you. As far as Positive Technologies side, I think we should say that when we were preparing for the session, when we were discussing this, I personally asked questions to Evgeny about the future. The future. We live in the real world, and we have questions about closure. Zhenya, would you like to elaborate on that? Whether we have interest of closing this before we even open this. No, we're not going to close this down. We would like to develop this and would like to invite target audience to this site. And I had a question to Nastya, by the way, which I still have. Nastya, what do you think the profit will be for the users who is going to join this site? Our target audience is made up of three big groups. The first group is CISO that will provide the resultative cybersecurity principles, and they will get profit through our website. They will be able to track down this progress and how this cybersecurity will be implemented, and they will understand the order, what they are supposed to do to make this unacceptable. The second group is the contributors of different methods and methodologies. For them, it will be a very convenient site to publish their results, and on this site we will be showing the authors, so to make us more public. So if we have if we can create a great community out of the people who contribute, I think for them it will also be useful. They will gain some useful benefits, and they may promote themselves at our websites. And we have experts on cybersecurity and IT. They can use best practices there to enhance the security level of their company. We were discussing this previously at previous projects. We have a very subtle matter here, which relates to copyright. So I think it's just intellectual property. It's the results of work of that site are intellectual property. And I would like to show you two negative scenarios that I had in life. One of them is Center for Internet Security, the checklists. When we contributed something, we sent it there, they say, great, you guys, we take it. Then they put their copyright, and just to use it in the commercial product, you must pay them money. You wrote it, you sent it to them, they give you thumbs up, and they put their copyright there. That's just one gross example. Another security scanner related story. That used GPL principle. So you just send it there, and they say, okay, excellent, they add your module there, the module gets under the GPL. If it's yours, it's used in the commercial products, you cannot claim it your own. So in order not to let it happen, we just need to have a more transparent principles to use an intellectual property so that everyone understands what you input there remains yours, and you can use it in the future. It will never disappear anywhere, and there will not be any toxic license which will prevent you from using this. It's a very important thing.
Юридический вопрос, он всегда будет стоять.
The legal thing is a very important thing. So we read if people start to spend their resources outside the boundaries of their personal resources, the question is, what do we actually work for, and what am I allowed to do with what we create and what we're not allowed to do? And we just need to refer to open source here. I had a next question. How do we invite experts there who can generate content? But I think I should ask this question to Nastya. As an expert, as an author who can create content, what am I supposed to do on this site? We are going to update this site and add some forks mechanisms. But first of all, we will have a Telegram channel where you can contact with those of them who are currently responsible for the performance of this site. And it will be a very good idea to create some expert committee which will have not only people from positive technologies, but we have an excellent ideologists team which will initially help us jointly consider the methods that can be offered at our site. The main condition there is that it means the principles of resultative cybersecurity. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter how we can achieve a certain result. It's the result that matters. We are very open and we are ready to take any offer. The main thing is that we understand that there is a certain result that we must achieve. If the methodology allows us to achieve that, most likely this content will be added to the site. Actually, we remember having such discussions previously, and some people like effective, not efficient. They like it effective, not efficient. But what about effectiveness, efficiency? It's either giving you the results or you are given the efficiency. Some people would like to be result-oriented. If they would like to be result-oriented, they would need to cut costs. Some people claim, no, I don't really want to validate my results through bug bounty. I hate it. I would like to do it differently. And they come up with their idea. Should we point to the door to this person? No, if he confirms that by the end of the year their infrastructure will never have any unacceptable event, we can verify that. Bug bounty is the verification for the dissidents. At a GitHub, there is a dissident author saying they're doing it all wrong, they fork it and they create something on their own, and it turns out even better, and that's good. Speaking in terms of openness, and if they go and scratch their head and they say, I don't really want any bug bounty, I would like to have a different thing, it's just like, it's a fork, it's a fork. Your bug bounty overshadows that. You don't even know my infrastructure. It's nice and cheap. Well, you guys, I've just told you the story that we will be verifying this not only through positive technologies, but in other ways. If we decide that that's a great methodology, we'll do it. It's just a question of rules, the rules of the game, etc. Can we change the domain's content? No problem about that. Then we are in. Nasta, thank you very much. Have a seat, please have a seat. We don't have much time, so let's go back to a very important question. How do we attract experts, and what experts you really need to make sure that you develop this methodology and the community? Do you have any ideas and recommendations here? It's just like any open source project. You need to have a grain. If it's not just an idea, but if you are like-minded people, so this grain of thought should say people, yes, I'm buying it. Should make people say, yes, I'm buying it. But I'm not going to run this bug bounty. From what I have reviewed, there is a certain grain. You just need to make it more popular, you just need to disclose it, you need to explain it, have webinars, and afterwards the most difficult thing would be working with the changes. The most difficult thing in open source is joint development. When you have a maintainer, you need to review it, you need to say, yes, okay, we will accept it, but not now. You just make it consistent as well. So you just need to make people interested. Second of all, not to scare off with your bad performance. All the rest will actually run if it's useful, if it's working. We discussed that with Roman yesterday. If we have this idea, so why not make sure that we pay money to those authors who would like to participate? So there's financial incentive. Do you think this financial incentive is necessary? Is this the only source of motivation? Or we actually need to avoid this money aspect? Well, look, I have a few examples of open source projects. It's not free of charge for the developer. They are mainly student-oriented projects. They are all having some interests, however, behind them. It's enterprise and consortium interests. So if you would like to use a Suricat maintainer, you get paid. And some other examples. Virusability. By testing antivirus, they get money from the vendors, but they also get feedback from the vendors. So the entire core of the team do this as a job. They do it as a job because they spend their own resources way too quickly. But if you know if it's a part of your job, like you must spend 8 hours a week on this as a job, otherwise I feel like I would betray people. Another point, okay, I may spend 8 hours a week on that. It's not going to be as a job, it will very soon vanish into thin air. So money will be an incentive of course. A lot of people see some kind of unification requirement through domains, and obviously it's quite interesting. In my current role, it's one of the challenges and tasks because there is a lot of specifics here, and we just need to make them more uniform, more unified. And there is a story of benchmarking. My experience proves that lots of companies in marketing, in cyber business, in IT, they would like to benchmark where they belong versus a certain peer group of peers. So it seems like that if they have a certain type of unification and input, I've seen some checklists there with very interesting points. They may easily have some grounds for benchmarks. It's one of the motivation points why people have it there. It's motivation for the users. But in terms of the financial aspect, I think I can second what Sergey has said. I think the input should be materially awarded, not only on money terms, but I think you will not run for too long just being enthusiastic and that's it. If you would like to ignite the fire, you need to use a lighter. So I guess it will be a reputation-related story. So with the support of the players in the market, we will do that. And the investments will not be that big if you just need to maintain the community. So we'll just put these grains in the soil and make them grow. I think we've had a very good discussion. We just have a couple of minutes, so we start one final blitz question. Would you all say that the community can really become the source of this effective cybersecurity, or you should do it based upon large-scale cybersec companies? What's this community? That's regulator, big companies, experts, and users. That's all together is a community. Which other community should do that? But if it's the vendors who should be the major driver, they have resources, they have expertise, they have connections with regulators in the market. I think there should be a wholesome model where everyone understands who contributes, who creates, etc. I would like to ask the community on its own, the people on the floor, what do you think about this? We should ask people on the floor. But we will go back to the questions. I would like right now to invite all the people from the community to join our site. Would you please join our site by following that link, scanning that QR? Forks have not yet been added there. It will be added on the next release. You can send all your suggestions through our chat. What do you think about this idea, Denis? I think the community itself will not do it if it's not led by someone. For example, if the lamp puts out in the corridor before someone replaces this, first of all, you just need to send a query. When the light bulb goes out, but you just may install the light-emitting diodes there, so it will never goes out. What I mean here, that there should be a platform and someone who will make the first step, but without... well, actually, Lebedev has this old story about the fish which is in the tank before it reaches the acceptance point. There is a nasty fish, like a shark, which is dropped in the tank, which makes all the fish maneuver, and this shark is thrown away, and the fish arrives fresh and nice. But I'm not comparing you with that, but someone should act like a shark in the tank, in the fish tank. What I mean here, that without the headlining platform, the community on its own will never create anything. So there should be someone heading this whole process, and you seem to be heading this whole process and leading it. Thank you for that. I completely agree with you, but there is a risk that this shark-like fish is in danger of eating all the fish and destroying everything. We need to have a leader, we need to have a chief in the beginning, but then we just need to make it more proper. In a natural way, any community changes and the commercial part overtakes. So we just need to make up the life cycle and find the co-sponsors to make it much safer from ourselves, I would say. Everyone likes open roadmaps, but it's fine. You just take the Git, the forks are there, the roadmap management is already there. I think we should take the best practices from open source and use them. Okay, let me come up with a summary. I think we've answered all of the questions we were going to answer. The community it's possible to gather the community based upon vendors with active position. We can attract the regulators there as active participants, and we need to motivate people to invest. And we are offering this site for you. I think it may turn out to be an interesting site for the creators, for the authors, and we need to have some loyalty, especially to those who are coming up with their methods. And if they are ready to share their ideas and results with the experts and allow some criticisms, but be open to the community. Okay, I'm full of thoughts about effective cybersecurity. What am I supposed to do right now so that we move this community forward, so it contributes? Right now, in 5 minutes' time. In 5 minutes' time, you can check the site, which we've showed you, check out our Telegram channel, and make a suggestion. I have an idea, and it may lead to a certain result. These are the contacts, and we'll share it with you, discuss it with you, and let's say it's an excellent method. We take it. Today we have this function. We will make it brushed up and beautiful, and we publish it on the site. Do you have anything that is kind of raw right now to review, like a document, for instance, to review? Because, for example, we are currently reviewing it, or there is no request like that. A review request, requesting feedback. We have some content there on the site. We have some content there on the site, and all of the content we have there that will be uploading there next week is open for discussion. It's the fork mechanism. Luckily, it's not just the only one. We are open for discussion. We are quite flexible, and we are open for your suggestions. What we have there is RFC, request for comments. So we are requesting your comments, and we are waiting for your comments. Thank you very much for listening and joining us here. Thank you, Nastya. Thank you, dear speakers. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, and we have time just for a couple of questions because we work with community. No, they prompt us that we have not much time. Okay. Okay, no microphones. We can give one microphone for questions, no problem. My name is Vyacheslav from NJET. It's not a question, it's just like a suggestion. So we discuss it here on this floor. Great ideas, great thoughts. I think on the next PhD, would you please measure some results? So a year has elapsed. So what? Did it really give any tangible results or not? So that's how we would like to see it. What this discussion has ended up with. It's just like a suggestion. All right, we'll bear it in mind. Or maybe we'll just conduct one event when all of the projects that have died will be analyzed. Nastya, I think we should make this benchmark analysis, what we started with and what we ended up with. Yes, okay, thanks for your suggestion or question for that matter. Hello, my friends, and the question is regarding this cybersecurity topic, the thing that we are discussing here and at other streams. It's an open question. Effective cybersecurity, what is it all about? Is it about people, technology, or both? Because at different streams we speak about technology, automation, AI. What would be the result regarding artificial intelligence? The question is what the result is going to be. People, technology, or both altogether. Back in the day, I have my own definition of cybersecurity. I recommend you love it all. What's cybersecurity at all? It's the insurance of the risks related to cybersecurity. We implement cybersecurity, we get this information more available. So the results that Dennis was showing is actually ensuring the risks of digitalization. And those people, those technologies, the processes that exist everywhere are the tools that we need to use to get a successful outcome. Well, it seems like that this question relates to the first story of mine, but that result can be everywhere. What would be the result here in this portal? And it seems like that it's a very good question. By gathering here, in a year, we can announce our result is such and such many domains, methods tested. So we will come up with some KPIs, set the results in KPIs. And what's most important, how many creators, how many authors have joined us. So here is the result of methodology, how many of them have tried them, how many have become successful. I think there is a point of stipulating that. Yes, thank you. I think we should thank everyone should say thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you.